All right, we've made it to day number 8 in the 31 days of masks here for Halloween, October 2022. I'm showcasing 31 days of amazing masks in my collection that are either really important to me, they're very rare, or I just love them for some weird reason. They're special or had them as a kid, and I figured I would take the 31. They're not necessarily favorites, but just important stuff out of this collection, showcase them each night all the way through Halloween. It's going well. Based on the comments, I think everyone's digging this. So tonight is tonight's mask, or masks, say that fast. Okay. Is a mask that I wanted so bad as a little kid, looking through Famous Monsters magazine, and there were these black and white Don Post ads in the 70s. Not only Famous Monsters, but if you read Starlog magazine, remember Starlog? Of course Fangoria, but this was, I'd be in my uncle's basement, and my older cousin had all kinds of Famous Monsters magazines, and there was an ad, this black and white ad. I'm going to show it to you, one of the coolest Don Post ads. And there were these masks. There would usually be 2 of them in the ad for the same mask, but they were different colors. And it was for the 1977 Don Post Timberwolf. I never really saw one in person in a costume shop in the 70s. I was, it wasn't until like early 80s when I started paying more attention to masks I seen in ads in costume shops. In the 70s, I was still, pretty young. In 77, I was 5, so, and this little movie called Star Wars really caught my attention. So that kind of drew me away from monsters a little bit at the time, but good grief. What a time to be alive. And those of you that were there know it was insane. Growing up at that age and Star Wars just comes out of nowhere blows my mind that I lived through that still. So anyway, we ain't here to talk about Jawas and Wookiees. We are here to talk about the Timberwolf. And the thing about the ad, the Timberwolves look so wicked in that ad. I'd be like, man, those look terrifying. They're pointy ears, and there's fangs. And I'd say, I don't know, I want that one, but I also want that one. I want both of them. Not knowing what they actually even looked like in person. But in that ad, they were so wicked looking. And I'm going to show you, I got all 3 versions right here in the collection. So check this out. We got the gray Timberwolf, the black Timberwolf, and the white Timberwolf. And some of these are becoming really quite rare in recent years. You'll see a lot of gray Timberwolves out there more than anything as far as these 3 colors go. They re-released this mask in later years, so there's more modern pulls of the Timberwolves out there by Don Post. I think in, God, when was it? I'm slipping, guys. Could have been 2012-ish. I think I'm going to really have to go back, and some of these things I'm forgetting, but I think there's a way to tell if it was the re-released Timberwolf or the vintage one, and I believe it has to do with the number of fangs in between the front here. Like this has 5 across there. He's got 3, 4, 5, but this white one only has 4 between the big 2 fangs. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe they used that mold for that re-release later. These are definitely vintage masks. This white one is immaculate. This is a tagged, unworn copy. I mean, this was a great find for me. For the longest time, the white Timberwolves were so rare, you just never seen them surfacing. And then this one popped up for sale in a crazy auction where a bunch of mint store stock was going off of eBay, one after another, and we were all losing our minds back then, bidding like madmen on these great masks. So, this black and white care tag dates this pull, to 1982, okay? And I know that the white Timberwolf was in the old 70s, late 70s ad into the early 80s, but they were still making these in 82, 81, 82. That's when these care tags came out. In 1983, they switched to the blue and white care tags that you've seen on probably a lot of different masks out there. So those of you that know your movies and masks will know that these masks also appeared in a famous movie out there, which is not the greatest movie in the world, but as a kid, it was terrifying seeing these masks on the bad guys because I truly thought they were monsters. And that was Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Yes, they were wearing Don Post Timberwolf masks. So I remember watching that on TV it had to be late 70s, I would think. And they were so scary. All those guys were running around in these masks, you know. I think it was the white ones. But going back to that old famous Monsters ad, you know, this one's a little tattered as far as his hair goes, but he's an original Timberwolf. Nice original paint, but his hair's kind of frizzy, so he's lost his great shape as far as looking like the old ad did. But man, these are definitely important masks in the Don Post world. And I was just talking about these black ones the other day because you really do not see black Timberwolves in many people's collections. You'll see modern castings. There was a master mold out there where people were getting beautiful pulls, and they would have them done by Rob or Kathy Tharp. And I think Rob was doing all the hair work and Kathy was painting them, but oh my God, they're incredible looking, especially because Rob would make the hair so perfect on them. I'll show you, I've had copies out of that mold. I shouldn't have sold them. I shouldn't have sold lots of things over the years, but man, those Timberwolves are so badass when Rob Tharp gets his hands on that latex pull and sends you back the Timberwolf of your dreams looking so insane. And they're always going to look so much better than a production mask. Production mask meaning these were made at Don Post Studios back in the day, one after another, as fast as they can pump them out. You know, when Rob and Kathy gets their hands on things nowadays, they take their time and really paint them, you know, nice and slow and do the hair work immaculate. So you're getting a really, really high-end version of the old production mask. So these are the only 3 colors the Timberwolf was available from Don Post. I'm going to put them nice and straight here so you can see them. Eventually I'd like to get a nicer gray one, you know, with maybe fuller head of hair, but this one's not too bad. Just the gray ones always kind of can look a little scraggly from time to time when I see them out there. But this one's not too bad. I mean, that looks like that old ad. In the old ad, they were angled kind of like that. And you saw the 2 ears sticking up, and they just look so freaking mean. And as a kid, I go, man, those look amazing. Not ever knowing I would have 3 of them someday in a crazy Don Post collection in my home. But here they finally are. It took me a long time to get my hands on Timberwolf masks. You know, in the 80s, being a kid, I didn't know guys were even trading these masks back then. You know, there were people collecting Don Post masks when I was 10 years old. Guys were, you know, having walls full of them in their homes, just like this. So those are like the OGs in the mask hobby, you know. David Lady, Dante, all those guys that were around back in the 70s and 80s had killer collections. You know, people think this is something incredible, but this has been going on for years and years with guys, and you should see a lot of the great old pictures out there of their collections, and they were definitely inspirations for what I'm doing now with mine. Man. So if you're lucky, you'll be able to find a beautiful unworn copy like this. The white ones are very, very rare. The black ones, I think, are even more rare. You'll be able to find a gray one probably, but honestly, I don't see any of them popping up anymore, especially on eBay. eBay's really drying up in the Don Post world. I don't see much happening these days with great stuff surfacing. If one of those beautiful master copies that Rob and Kathy Tharp did their magic on, they can sell for hundreds and hundreds, 500, 600, maybe 700 or $800, depending on how. If it was the master casting, there's some out of the master mold, and there's some just out of a production mold, I think. So that master casting is going to be a much larger, more detailed version of a production mold. The master's always the big one. Nicer size, nicer detail, and guys always go after that master copy more than the production. So and it's bragging rights. There's guys that run around, throwing those words out. I only collect master pulls, and this is from the master, and this is that and half of them don't even know if they're actually master copies or not. They just think they are, and they like to throw the words around and pretend they're cooler than everyone else in the hobby, which is funny. But anyway, back to these masks. I'm sure some of you out there that are watching these videos are definitely going to recognize the Timberwolves. You'll probably remember the old ads I'm speaking of, and you'll definitely remember Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. But let me know if you guys had these or wanted them as kids or remember what I'm talking about. And if you have one of these today, if you have a beautiful copy and it's original, I'm sure I would be very interested in acquiring that sucker if you ever got rid of it, especially if it's a nice gray one that looks, near mint and original. But these are some of my favorite masks of all time, and you just do not see these popping up ever anymore. I don't remember the last time a black Timberwolf even surfaced for sale. But look at this thing. It's so cool. This one was foam filled a long time ago. And this actually came, I believe this is out of Dan Roebuck's old collection. Dr. Shocker, a.k.a. Grandpa Munster now. I think this was probably out of his old monster collection, this beauty right here. I've had this for a long time. This is probably one of my oldest Don Post masks, but it's so cool. And they foamed it and put red felt behind the eyes, that just makes it look even cooler. This was all done like this when I got it. But man, what a great piece. And you can always stylize your hair better on these. Comb them out. Combing them will pull hair off of them if you're brushing them, just like a dog or cat. So sometimes I'll brush things, but other times if they're rare and they got a lot of their original hair, maybe I'll take a soft bristle hairbrush and I'll go over it softly, and it'll straighten all that hair out really nice. It'll make the hair look nice without yanking it all out. So maybe I'll show you guys in a video one day, but I should get a brush and at least go over this sucker and make him look a lot more presentable. It'll come out looking like this, like really nice and smooth, that hair, and it won't rip it all out. If you use a soft bristle, like a bunch of black bristles in an oval, that kind of woman's brush, and just lightly go over your hairy masks like that. So it'll come out looking super nice and a little more presentable, other than a scraggly mess like this dude was. So let me know what you think of these masks. These are definitely important ones in the Don Post world, and they're definitely becoming more scarce. It's funny, I think back to 10 or 15 years ago when you would see these surfacing all the time, especially the gray ones. And now it's like I don't see them anywhere. I know where they're sitting in guys' collections. I made a post recently on a Don Post group. I said, hey, show me your black Timberwolves, only originals. And guys are like, I got one. And then they never posted pictures of them. I'm like, do you really have one? Or do you have the modern copies? I want to see how many of these are out there, I just want to know, because there ain't many. So anyway, this is the 8th day of the 31 days of Halloween masks on my channel. And I'm glad you guys are digging this, because it's something I should have been doing a long time ago. Of course, I'm still going to do car videos. That's, my life is cars and monsters, basically. And a lot of other stuff. But I mean, as far as hobbies, the car world is... YouTube is saturated with car stuff. I get it. But I do so much neat car stuff, and I attend all these great events that I'm not going to stop doing car stuff. So those guys have, so those of you out there following this channel for the cars, don't worry, I'm just doing this for the month of October. Oh. It's funny because the mask videos do better than the car videos sometimes. So why not do more of this? This is something a lot of you don't see anywhere else. So it'd be stupid for me not to continue this on after Halloween. Not a mask video every day, but maybe once a week, you know. Back to the Don Post Timberwolves. I hope you like them. If you don't, oh well. I love them, and they've always been wicked, wicked masks when I was a kid. And I can't believe I got 3 of them here now. And I may not look at them often. Sometimes they're tucked in corners here. But man, these are very special to me because I want them so bad as a kid. So thanks for watching this episode. And we'll see what we can dig up tomorrow. Bye.